Who's Eddie?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
I've been wondering how people can leave comments before we actually go live. That's so
I
interesting.
know.
Like, how y'all leaving comments? Thanks,
I have no idea.
Eddie.
It's Eddie.
Hi, Eddie. Just Patches this here. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, season finale.
Season finale.
Yeah, share this
4
tonight.
seasons. Can y'all believe it though? Like that's wild.
I know, right?
4 seasons. I've been wondering if we ever going to stop having something to talk about. We're going to run out of stuff to talk about.
Nope.
I don't think that that's possible. With everything that goes on in this world, I just don't think that's possible.
I was just about to say that as long as people keep on being people, we're gonna be talking.
Yep.
Mm.
Just so y'all know, Auntie Sugar getting her hair did. She getting her twist, her micro locks retwisted. She here. She just ain't on camera because she over there looking crazy and it's storming where she at.
Well, we did. I mean, we did have somebody offer to cover down for Auntie Shug.
We did.
So I don't know.
I think that would have been all for the finale too. Get Uncle Abe in here.
He really is dying too. Y'all could use him.
He be trying. He be trying to get up in here, don't he?
Oh, where's my?
Well, how are you ladies doing?
Good. Good.
Pretty good. My sister is getting adjusted to being here with these kids. Now somebody understands.
That must be nice, though.
I decided not to do my own hair anymore because I have literally 4 heads to do, and I don't want to be doing my own. So I found me a stylist, and this is where I'm gonna be at. So today was the only day that she had that she could do me, so I had to compromise.
Listen, we understand.
I recently went to the Meg the Stallion concert, and I went with one of my longtime friends of 20 years. And let me tell y'all, there's nothing like having a good conversation, a good time with the people that you love, and just letting your hair down and just, enjoying life in the moment. So I was pretty happy about that.
I saw you was looking too cute. Keisha had a grill in, y'all. I want that bottom grill. That was so cute. Like, she out here lit.
You know what? And it was a last minute decision too. And I wanted to do it. And I was like, I don't know. I was going to do it for my birthday, but then I was like, you know what? The perfect time to do this is at the Make the Stallion concert. And so it was really cool to, honestly, the way I saw people dressed in there, they had kind of like their Cowboy Carter stuff on too. Like they had on cowboy hats. I was salty because I wanted to wear a cowboy hat, but I thought it was going to look stupid. Well, I'm not surprised.
Meg been incorporating cowboy hats since before that Cowboy Carter. She from Houston.
That's true. So anyway, my takeaway from that was that wear what the hell you want to wear, because all I seen was all types of butt cheeks, all colors, sizes, and shapes. And the girlies were not pressed.
Do you
always. So it was a good time.
That's nice. I know that's one of the things we've talked about in previous episodes is like body dysmorphia and all of that, or confidence, self-esteem. So it's a difficult thing for us to get over, but in situations like that, settings like that, in a concert, like ain't nobody worried about you. Like ain't nobody looking around like, oh, look what she got on. Oh, look at her. You know what I mean? Like everybody's there to have fun. So that is a good time for you to just be yourself and go out there and do what you got to do.
Yep. And they was out there doing what they had to do. And I was
Hey, cousin Cassie. What's up?
I like that. I like our I think that would be cute for our fans, our cousins. It's the cookout. Our cousins.
Mm-hmm. Anybody got any questions? Did we get any questions today?
I don't get any inbox, I don't believe. I think a lot of the talk this week, and it speaks to mental health. We've done several episodes on domestic violence. Yeah, this whole situation, that video that was released allegedly of Sean Combs and Cassie had a lot of people triggered. Let's just put it like that. Not Uncle A. Now she's
What's up, Uncle A?
What you want? Dang, he's gonna push your way here.
Surprise for the season finale, okay?
I gotta jump in and represent the uncles.
Hey, what you doing here? What are you doing?
Y'all, I'm here to talk about mental health, how it's important in our community, and I'm here to just help other men. You know, Ashley's a womanist, I'm a manist, and I'm here to help them on their journey.
Hey, be careful, because that's gonna be taken as you a misogynist. You don't want to say that like that, okay?
All right, mark that from the record.
We live, ain't no marking it. We can't mark nothing on these.
We can't take it out.
Well, you know, the fact that everybody's laughing, that's how you know we're not serious.
We're not. But we were getting into a conversation on domestic violence. So, I mean, go ahead, Auntie Ashley, with what you were saying.
A lot of people were very much triggered behind the release of that footage from the hotel with Puffy and Cassie. A whole bunch of people who saw it on their feed, not of their own, like they didn't go searching for it. It was just like, that's not something I wanted to see. A lot of people were like, that's not something I wanted to see. But for me, it's kind of like, sometimes you got to see stuff like that to realize how real it is. Like, that's a real legit situation that a lot of people are in. And those of us who've never been in it, we can't imagine it. So to see it, it's like, whoa, like this is bad. This is really bad. So I thought that was something, since we have talked about domestic violence, that was something that people would want us to at least touch on.
I was one of those people who opened up my phone unexpectedly in the grocery store because I was looking for a recipe on Instagram. And when you open up Instagram, the videos automatically play. Like, that was the first thing that popped up. And I'll tell you what, I was sick to my stomach. I had forgot about what I was even in there doing. I had to leave because that's just how sick I was. So I left.
I think my reaction, I watched it because I think y'all put it in the group chat, and I was like, let me go see what they're talking about on here. But hold on a second. No, get some water. Let me finish what I'm doing. But my reaction initially was just like, I thought about her. Like, I was disgusted with him, of course, but having to watch something like that, like from the victim's perspective, like having to rewatch that and then see everybody, like the whole world's reaction. Like, it's different if it it's not different, but if it happened to me and there's a video circulating, it's not going to go that wide. So for the whole, like everybody talking about it, making comments on it, you know, judging her and judging him, like I just thought about her and how she's reacting to that. Like, she's basically reliving that shit, like having to watch it and see everybody else's reactions to it. And then I'm pissed because ain't nobody believe her.
You know what? That was the part for me. I did immediately think of her because I've talked with other domestic violence victims, and she didn't have to see it to relive it. That's something that they relive. Like, she thinks about that probably, or has. She's in a happy marriage now and has moved on, but I'm sure that's kind of like a PTSD symptom. Anything can trigger that thought. So I'm sure she's thought about it, but to see it and to see people talking about it probably brought it back to the forefront for her. But the part about her not being believed bothered me so much. I shouldn't have took for that video to come out for y'all to have believed her like that. It shouldn't have took all that. And even if you don't believe somebody, it's one thing to say, I'm gonna wait till the evidence come out. I don't necessarily. It's a different thing to say, oh, she a liar, she a gold digger, she just want money. Like, y'all did that girl wrong. And that to me makes it even harder for her. Like, I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you my truth. And it's okay to not believe me, but to just call me all these things that I'm not, just because I'm trying to share my story, that's not okay.
But it goes to talk about what really happens in real life. So
if we're not watching the big screen, if we're not watching celebrities, but we're watching inside of our house and we're watching inside, you know what I mean, like in our own families, you get people who don't believe the victims. This is everyday stuff. So you get people that say them kids lying, that man is lying, that woman is lying. What did she do to deserve it? This is like par for the course in domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
I would
You know,
say, one thing that when you watch these, there is a lot of support systems for women that are going through things like that. Like maybe they're dealing with the battered woman syndrome, and because you can't help but think like, why wouldn't she just leave immediately? But we don't know the background. We don't know. I mean, maybe the internet knows like the exact time it happened, but um, it's almost like when we keep seeing videos like this, you get desensitized almost. Like, I mean, some of us probably grew up in a neighborhood where we might have seen that on the street, but um, it is now you can't refute nothing. That's the video evidence is the video evidence, and now, like you said, everybody there's nothing to argue now because the video is like pretty straightforward.
but
Which
you know what's interesting, Abe? So that video is from 2016, which was part of the thing for me. Like a hotel got that footage and never gave it to the police. That bothered me at first. But then, of course, the alleged situation where he paid them off for the video. If that's true or not, I don't know. But he's rich and powerful, so it's possible, right? But it happened in 2016, and something you just said is something a lot of people said at first. Why didn't she just leave? And we've talked about this on our other domestic violence episodes. It takes a victim 7 times. Like most victims, on average, try to leave 7 times. And a lot of people don't realize that that is the most dangerous time for a victim. A lot of people lose their lives trying to leave. And then with her, with the video in particular, I'm like, for all the people asking why did she leave, clearly she was trying to. She was trying to in that video.
right.
And nobody thinks, oh, this man gonna chase me down the hallway in nothing but a towel. Nobody thinks that, I don't think. So to me, it was like she was trying to leave. There's the evidence of that.
I think that people are just lazy. She wrote it it was in the court documents that they filed, and it was even worse. People are just lazy and didn't want to do the work. It was already written, and a lot of lawyers went on the record and said the reason why he settled so fast is because she probably had a lot of evidence mounted up. Lawyers came out and told y'all that. Nobody wants to listen to professionals. Nobody wants to do the work. It is literally written in documents, legal documents, and people still ran to the internet and said what they said. And that is the most thing that angers my butt, because we as a community don't want to do the work. We as a community don't want to fight. And I'm not saying that you're going to have access to a legal library. No, but there is access to the internet. Literally, lawyers are on Twitter, TikTok, everywhere explaining why that decision was made so fast when he had to give her that money. And they were like, if that's happening, 9 times out of 10, there was enough evidence to basically make a case, and he had no ground to stand on, literally. But nobody wanted to listen to that. So we, I think, as in our community, have to do a better job on doing the necessary research we need before we start coming out making these snap judgments. That's just my personal opinion.
Can I say one thing? And I'm not saying this about a particular organization, but if you have a regular 9 to 5 and you're making minimum wage, so when we talk about the video, the hush money, basically, like don't say nothing, and somebody's making $10, I don't even know what minimum wage is right now. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, and somebody offers you something like that that's life changing. Had a conversation with somebody in my household about this. It's like you're basically choosing your integrity over the money. But when you've been working a 9 to 5 to stay alive, if somebody say here's 100,000, that's why people are taking it. Like we wonder, like, oh, I can't believe they held on to the video. Like somebody was getting something life changing. Now I don't know. They said it was 50,000, but this isn't the first time something has come out after the fact and somebody got paid off. Like,
Agreed. I agree.
Somebody got paid off.
I agree. It is, people can say, we like to believe. Everybody would like to believe that their integrity would hold fast. But depending on your situation, somebody offer you 50,000, 100,000, shoot, depending on your situation, 20,000. you gonna get, that's a test. Like, man, I gotta feed my kids, or I got bills, and I was wondering how I was gonna pay them, and now I'm getting offered this. Like, we can't sit up here and pretend like that wouldn't be hard for anybody. I understand people like to say they stand on their integrity, but come on now, that's a lot of money to offer somebody just to say, give me that video, please.
Yeah, and that also feeds into the misconception that anybody who is like coming forward years later is looking for a payout, right? Because it could be that initially you coming forward, that is like your integrity. Like, I really want to put this out into the world. I want people to see this. I want people to know that this is happening. And then when the money's put on the table, maybe your mind changes. But I don't think that's always like the initial, like, oh, I'm going to come forward now so I can get some money. Like, no, sometimes people really want to put it out there. They want people to see what type of person this is. I also think that people just get kind of like sucked into, you know, the power and, you know, the facade that people put on, and they think like, oh, this person could never do something like this, or this person would never, this is a good person. And I've just learned working in the mental health field, anybody is capable of anything, depending on the situation, depending on, you know, your childhood experiences, your experiences growing up into adulthood. Just so many factors contribute to who you are as a person and how you behave. But anybody is capable of anything.
I also wanted to like comment about like when people were so shocked about the video, while I was, because it was just happened, that it just happened all of a sudden in that moment. I've worked with DV victims, and while I cannot obviously say any identifying information, let me tell you that is not the exception. That's the rule. And the amount of things that I've heard women go through and survive is crazy. And a lot of people don't know this happens more often than what they think. And yes, that might have been a shocker because we saw it like right there in front of us. But I've seen it and I've heard it, and things just with 9 to 5 women, regular women, go through significant domestic abuse, and it's scary. So as therapists, we hear and see a lot. So it's a part of our world in some ways.
And then too, with us being in this field, we, like a lot of people were saying, well, maybe he just had because he did the apology video saying, you know, I was in a dark time, blah, blah. And I know for me, I always tell clients, whether you have a mental health diagnosis, whatever, it's not an excuse for your bad behavior. It's just not. It's a reasoning, or maybe it's a part of the why, but it's not an excuse for you to do things. And a lot of people wanted to say, you know, the quintessential, everybody makes mistakes. And I really wanted people to realize and recognize certain things aren't mistakes. They are active choices, and it's a character flaw. And that's a little bit different. Like, we love to say that there are good people, but nobody likes to acknowledge there are really just bad people. Like, we, even as mental health professionals, and we see people with all kinds of mental health struggles that they can use as their why, there are also just people who make really bad choices a lot. And we have to be able to acknowledge that.
I just want to point out one thing, like something that we probably don't take into consideration. Like, if you're the hotel security guy, right? And people have that much money to just pay people off, do you think the security folks are scared too? Like, it won't be that hard to narrow down who you are if the people have money. Like, there was one person working on shift at 7 a.m. It was Mike Johnson. Like, make up a name. And some of these people, like, if folks have money, that's just scary, because you just don't know what folks are capable of. I'm not saying it's them that's gonna come after you, but they got money. They can send people after you. Like, this is real life. Like, so I think we don't take that into consideration either. That even the people on staff, we've seen other stuff leak in hotel elevators and all these other things. And I wonder if they ever think, like, how bad, like, if that person wanted to make this go away or make me go away, you know, what would happen? Like, what is the consequences of me saying, I'm not gonna give the video over to you? Like, stand your ground and be like, well, I hope you got a security team.
Yeah.
It's true.
I also think that when you say people, you know, have people that can go after them. I know people may not want to hear this, but police are also complicit in domestic violence.
Mm.
I've seen it happen. I've heard it happen. They are just as complicit in domestic violence. Either, and that's both for men and women. It's women saying, "What did you do?" or not taking it seriously, and then these women get killed. And then it's men trying to come forward, "Oh, it's just a woman," or downplaying and minimize it. They play a part of the cycle as well.
And that's here.
One thing I wanted to say was that even with just domestic violence in general, because that person is not the only person that endured domestic violence. Like with domestic violence in general, it's hard to get away from your abuser, and it's hard for your family members. I know for a fact my daddy would have been on somebody's heels, but everybody doesn't have that backing. Everybody don't have somebody to say, don't put your hands on my family member, because a lot of people are scared that that you're gonna go back. Because let's just face it, in families, you'll see auntie get beat up, and then the next day your uncle at the house asking everybody if they want brisket. So it's a very common occurrence. And then the police officers, domestic violence is one of the highest volumes of kills for police officers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It is the whole situation. I know we focused on the celebrity aspect of it, but it is a very common situation. I don't think people really know the statistics and the numbers of how many people are in domestic violence or intimate partner violence situations. Like they really don't know how common it really is. And they don't know how common, like Auntie Shug said earlier, they call victims liars all the time. This is why victims don't come forward. This is why they don't speak up. Because it's like, if they're not gonna believe me anyway, why would I rehash this story? Myself.
And I'm not a victim blamer, but also victims, let's be real, don't have any plans on leaving. Sometimes they still want to stay. A lot of times they blame themselves. There's a psychological aspect that goes to it too.
And then one of the questions that I think one of y'all mentioned it earlier, or I think Keisha just said it, when it comes to cops being complicit and other people being complicit in it. Even with this video coming out, I heard people say, well, what did she do beforehand for him to react like that? I just really don't understand that question. What justifies that? Like, I was literally racking my brain, like, what possibly could justify somebody doing that to somebody else? Like, in any capacity.
But people say it all the time. You get girls who hit boys, and then people say, I told my kid to floor her. That's where it starts. And they say, well, what did she do to make him do that? It starts at an early age. I stand on business when I say that every single time. I'll be like, you know what? If that person is going to hit you, you need to get away from them. So instead of teaching people, you know what? If he hits you, then you make sure you bust him upside his head. You make sure you hit him back. Yeah, that's fine. But it starts as children. How many times has he been taught, oh, you know what? If a girl do this, then you better punch her in the face, or you better floor her. Or, a woman could get it the same as a man could get it. That's what that grows up to be. Not only him, because he's just a person in society like everybody else, but other men, other women. I've had friends that are men that were abused by women too. And I'm not saying I don't care about I'm not talking about their situation, because they're just they're just one group. I've actually seen it in real life. Like we don't teach our kids, somebody that abuses you, you should get away from them. We teach our kids, somebody that abuses you, you should abuse them back.
Mm. And what about
kids that it's a I'm sorry, if we don't go there, we gotta go there. We also teach our kids that abuse is a form of love. We like to call it discipline, but regardless of how you look at it, we teach that. If I tell you, my child, I love you, and then I discipline you physically and don't think of any other ways to try to handle it, well, then I'm sorry, that also can be internalized as, well, if somebody really, really loves me, this is how it'll be. And we got to remember the history of just men and women in this country. There was a time when men could legally discipline their wives. A wife was just like a child, or a woman in that man's life was just like a child. So it's a lot of nuance to that when we want to bring in the fact that it's lessons that are taught. It's lessons that are taught on a grander scheme than just, if somebody hits you, hit them back. It's also, I love you and I hit you. So I'm going to internalize that and say, well, if somebody loves me, that's what they do when they're mad, or when I make them upset.
That's if it's internalized that way. Because everybody who's had a spanking don't grow up to beat women.
That's true. And everybody who's taught hit a person back, they learn eventually that there's a limit to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, if this dude come in and hit me, I'm gonna protect myself, self-defense. For a man, I mean, that man is gonna protect himself, self-defense. But they a lot of men eventually don't become violent men. A man can grow up in chaos, violence, and not become a violent man. He could be the exact opposite. So
And what about? I was just gonna say, like, too, when y'all bring a new patient in, y'all gotta assess them. And part of the things, and not making excuses, but we don't know what their household was like when they was a kid, or what they saw, what they was exposed to. So for them, not making excuses, I know it's not right, but it's like, if that was your household and you saw that, maybe you do think that's okay to do that. And it it takes other people around that person to course correct, like tell them, like, hey, bro, that ain't right. Like, not to make it a man versus woman thing, because it could be the other way around. But like, even for women, what if that's all the when she was a girl, that's all she saw, and she might think it's normal too. Mom got floored, dad got floored. This is normal.
Yep.
If you saw it every day for 18 years, and then you move out and you get a boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and you pick a certain type of guy, and he happens to be like that,
that's all you know.
That's exactly how it passes down through these generations.
Yep.
Because people, it's kind of like Auntie Ashley and Auntie Shug are saying, like, there are certain lessons that are taught. When you tell your kids something, that's how they learn that lesson. But there's also modeled behavior. And actually, kids learn more from the behavior that you model than the words that you tell them.
That is
Right?
correct.
So if they're seeing this happening, you've got two sides of the coin, right? You've got a kid who is watching mom or dad getting beat every single day, and they think like, okay, if someone loves me, this is how they treat me, and they kind of like look for that in their partners later on. And then you get the other side of the coin where you get the kid who starts to pick up on the manipulation, and they start to become a manipulative person. Oh, if I want to get something out of someone, I got to hit them, or I have to like make them feel like what they told me isn't true, even though I know it's true. And they start to pick up on those patterns. And this is honestly part of how some personality disorders are developed. I mean, there's a genetic component to it, but it's also this early childhood, developing these patterns of behavior and watching and just like picking up on stuff. Kids are smart as hell, y'all. They smart as hell. So when they're watching this, it's not just, oh, mommy hit daddy and that's it. Like, they start to become extremely clever. Like, oh, mama hit daddy because she wanted daddy to do this. This is what I'm going to do the next time I want somebody to do it. So kids make those connections. That's the approach that I take when I work with adults. Not everybody likes that approach. A lot of therapists will work with like, what are you doing right now? And how can I help you with your situation right now? And I'm the type that's like, nah, bro, this goes deeper. We got to talk about your childhood. We got to figure out like, why do you have these beliefs? Why do you behave this way? Where is this coming from? And sorry, one other comment before I stop, but the whole thing with, the course correct, what like Uncle Abe was saying, I hate saying uncle, like Abe was saying, you get people around you that enable you. When you have a certain level of power and a certain level of money, people don't tell you that you're wrong. So that mindset that like, this is right, this is normal, I'm not making excuses, but that mindset, I saw this my whole entire life and ain't nobody around me told me it was wrong, but like one person. I got 20 people in my group of people of support, and one person told me it was wrong and everybody else ain't said nothing. So this is normal. This is right. This is how I'm supposed to behave. People don't always get that course correct. They don't always get somebody to stop them and be like, bro, no, like, don't do this. This is not okay. So
I think you said something key there, the enabling, the not people not speaking up. Because if we were to speak back to the situation between those two celebrities, well, a lot of people saw what was going on, heard what was going on, and still didn't do nothing about it or didn't say nothing about it. And it's like, okay, everybody saw the signs. What happened? Like nobody, said anything. But I do agree with modeling behavior. I work with children 0 to 5. And so when children hit And when mom and dad is explaining to me about how they interact with each other, I simply ask them, okay, what exactly do you expect your child to model if this is how you behave? And I have to call parents out and put it out there because I'm like, if you want your child to do something different, you have to do something different. So, absolutely, modeling is very important.
I want to take a minute to acknowledge all the people in the comments, especially new people here. Hi, y'all. Y'all, welcome to the season finale of the Clinical Cookout. It's our season 4 finale. Seeing so many new people. Tiani, thank you so much for coming. He said y'all look well hydrated.
Yes,
okay.
we are.
Black and beautiful around these parts.
He don't see me. That I don't look hydrated, nor do I look moisturized.
You're air there right now. But you know what else? While we're talking about kids and I know this is gonna be Auntie She'll probably gonna laugh at this example I'm gonna use. But even adults, you can sway adults to think a certain thing or try a certain thing too. And I'm thinking back specifically, it's from a movie, and that's why I said Auntie She'll gonna laugh. But do you remember that scene in The Color Purple where Harpo was like, I just can't get her to listen to me. I can't get her to mind. What should I do? And he was like, beat her. Like, you got grown people who tell other grown people that. Back in the day, that was normal for a man to tell his son or his nephews or his male cousins who are of age or who are dating or who are married, newly married, like, you better beat that woman to get her to mind. Like, that was a normal thing. And these weren't kids. These were full-fledged grown men. So it's a very tragic mindset that will take an awful lot to undo because it was seen as so acceptable for so long. That's just how I view it. It was really seen as acceptable for generations. We can't pretend.
I want to hear Tiani's statement. He was like, I wish y'all had a call-in feature.
You know, it's funny. I'm sending them the link right now. I was trying to get on here to see if I could send a message or not. But Tiani, hang tight. I'm trying to send you the link so you could join and make your statement. Give me a few minutes.
Before y'all go, let me just tell y'all who he is. This is one of he's a blogger, but he has so many followers. He just won an award in Louisiana for his work.
Oh my goodness.
He is dope. So that's Tiani.
Come on, Tiani. We'd love to hear from which statement that you have.
Tiani said, you sound like you well moisturized and hydrated. That's all that matters. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. Who else? Cassie said also they may feel as though they don't have an escape plan and will lose their livelihood if they leave, which is true as well. A lot of people don't leave because they don't have an escape plan. Typically, what I do, if I have someone who's in a situation that is dangerous, I try to help them. One of my tricks is that I have them email everything to themselves. Most people don't check emails. Most people aren't going to look there to see any type of like pictures or messages. So I tell them to email themselves. So that way it's in a file that can't be deleted. Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know if I got the right Tiani. I sent the link, but the profile picture is different. Oh no, that's YouTube. Okay,
he on YouTube. He on here on both platforms. He like, I'm gonna make sure y'all.
Oh no, I sent it to. Okay, Tiani, I sent you the link in your Facebook Messenger. So when you get it, just join and we'll let you in. Uncle A, we might end up kicking you off.
I'm all good with that. I got stuff to do.
All right. It's the season finale, so anything can happen. We have another moisturized person that wants to say.
Hi, Uncle A.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh,
she's extra moisturized, ain't she?
We got the season 4 finale 4 just trying to say hi to the people.
Hi.
I keep my skin moisturized. Get away from me.
Just clean. Can I take it back in?
See what we got going on? This is what happens on the Clinical Cookout, y'all. The children, yes.
Just Patcha says hey to everybody.
Hi. Hi. Good discussion, y'all, about that. I really think that it's important for us who talk about domestic violence, especially in the Black community. I think sometimes I'm now seeing the whole narrative of don't tear down a Black man, don't do that. So it's like, when do we have these conversations? That's the question. When do we have our conversation and keeping our hands to ourselves, whether it's a man or a woman, or however how you identify? When do we start having these conversations? Because obviously we are being affected by them. Obviously, our children are seeing that. Obviously, there is some course correct we need to do in our own community. So when is the good time to have this conversation? And honestly, it shouldn't take for a celebrity to be on social media and seeing that for us to start having these conversations. We should continuously have these conversations. Amber, he doesn't see the link.
It's on your Facebook Messenger, not on YouTube. I sent it to Facebook. Hey, cousin Cassie again.
And you know what, Keith? The interesting thing about you saying that, when do we have these conversations? And you know, the idea of y'all just trying to bring a successful black man or black woman down. And that comes up a lot. That came up with other celebrities who've gotten caught up in things. My thing is, you cannot have a successful community as a whole if we do not ever hold anybody accountable. We cannot pretend like our community doesn't have bad people within it. We can't pretend like things don't happen just because it's us, just because we're black, just because they have money or success. That's not fair. So accountability is a big deal. And we often get into the gender discussions of women don't hold other women accountable, men don't hold other men accountable, people don't hold people accountable. It's like nobody wants to be held accountable, but that doesn't mean we don't do it. We still have to do that.
Oh, there's Latoya. She said, that's true. You have to start early. I work with middle schoolers and I tell both genders to keep their hands to themselves. Unfortunately, most of the time I have to speak with the girls more than the boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's I can see how that's true. Girls, I don't know what it is, but a lot of girls feel like they can do these things as young girls, like they can put their hands on a boy. And it's like, who taught you that? Who told you that? That's not okay either way.
Right.
Sometimes you've seen it in your household.
Huh?
So, sometimes it's stuff that you've seen growing up. Sometimes it's not, even as a girl, you think, or he not going to hit me back, but girls are aggressive too. And that's why I was saying what I said earlier about men and women, because adult to child relationships are different than romantic relationships. And when it's modeled in front of you that this is how you handle your situation with a woman, then you would be a girl that hit somebody. And I know that because I speak from experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's definitely not. I know we like to focus on the numbers and people feel like it's a cop-out when you say women can be violent too, because they like to say, well, not in the same numbers. Yeah, agreed, it's not in the same numbers. True, it's not. But that doesn't mean don't acknowledge it. That doesn't mean
and it's probably not in the same numbers because it's less likely for a male to report because they minimize male domestic violence. That's why, probably. That's probably one of the reasons why. Mm-hmm. So women can be just as violent. And we just have to start having open conversations about keeping our hands to ourselves and modeling those behaviors for children. You know what I can't stand? I can't stand as a parents and as adults, we get out there and then now all of a sudden we're like, why are these kids so bad? Why are these kids hitting each other? Well, what was you doing? Like, what are you modeling? And then you act like these kids just hitting out of nowhere, especially if you've never taught them how to manage their emotions. When you don't teach children conflict resolution skills, well, guess what they're going to use? Their bodies. That's what they know. And you didn't teach them any different.
That's the one. You also have parents. So, I mean, yeah, some parents, you also have to watch what you say too. Like when you're having these adult conversations, when you're on the phone, when you're hanging out in the kitchen and the kid's supposed to be in the back room and you talk about somebody that you fought back in the day, like kid walks in, hears that. So they're also hearing those conversations. But the other thing you just said, I had a conversation with a parent this week about it because it's this whole like wanting to shield your child from any type of disappointment or wanting to keep them from, having negative experiences because of who we want to protect our babies, right? We don't want them to be sad. We don't want them to, have trauma that they have to later on, work through. But they have to have those experiences in order to develop those skills to deal with conflict and to deal with disappointment. So I think it is important to allow your kid to process things when they happen. Like, okay, this thing happened. I didn't like it, but I need to figure out how I can manage my emotions when things happen. Because if you don't have those experiences, you're going to become an adult and you're not going to know what to do when something doesn't go your way. So I just wanted to like piggyback off that because that's a big thing that I see now too. And cousin Tiani's hopping in.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yep. While we bring cousin Tiani in,
You made it.
I want to make a quick
Hello
note.
there.
Hey,
can you hear me?
Tiani.
How are y'all?
We are good.
Well, firstly, I want to say thank you so much to Auntie Ashley for inviting me. I've really been enjoying my time here. I think that this is absolutely wonderful. I love the conversations that you guys are having. I was only able to come by for a few short minutes because I'm on schedule, but I just had to. I told my assistant, I was like, "Look, hold on, girl. I'm cooking. I'm cooking right now." And I was just listening, and outside of blogging, my actual 9 to 5 job is I'm a librarian, and I see moments like this all of the time, and it's such a tricky situation. It's really really tricky. It's very, especially when it comes to kids, and when they come in and you see them and they're dealing with certain situations, and then like you guys were saying, you look at the parents and you're like, this is where it's stemming from. And of course, working with the state, you want to say something, but you're very limited to what you can do. It's really a sad situation because a lot of the time it is learned behavior, and bringing in the celebrity aspect of it, these kids, they have these favorite rappers, they have the NBA young boys that they love, they have the baby, and somebody, I don't know, I can't think of anybody else right now off the top of my head, but those are like the two of the popular ones. But they're also two of the most troubled ones. Like, they're the ones that are always in drama, always got something happening, and these are the ones that the kids want. These are the ones they enjoy. This is who they listen to. And it's just that there's just so many bad influences around everywhere. It's on the radio, it's on social media, it's at home, and it's just really unfortunate.
Thank you, Tiani. I love you. Because I say it all the time, and a lot of times people like to baby these celebrities or like baby people and you can't blame music, you can't blame this, you can't blame that. But you know what? Influence is real. And you do have to monitor what goes in and out, because what input equals output.
It really does. It truly does. And I was actually in one of the post threads the other day where someone was like, you guys go so hard behind these celebrities. It was a guy, and he was like, you go so hard behind these celebrities, and you idolize these celebrities. And I'm like, did I not see you on the timeline getting upset because LeBron didn't make a 3-pointer? Well, that's different. It's not different. It's the same thing. There are just different levels of it. I might sit here and love Beyonce and Kim Kardashian. You're a LeBron fan, and you're watching everything that he does, and you're getting in hard up arguments saying how he's better than James Harden and things like that. Like, their influence is everywhere, and it's not one of those situations to where celebrity culture has been around since the 1920s. They've always been here to entertain us. So, of course, we're watching and we're paying attention and we're noticing all of the things that they're doing, and we're trying to implicate it into our everyday lives. So what makes you think that a child who has access to those situations and access to situations at home isn't picking up on all of that everywhere? It really is unfortunate, and I really wanted to say that. I think it was Auntie Amber that was talking. I was like, "Ooh, I wish they had a phone line. I need to chime in. I won't type fast enough." So I just really wanted to call in and say that. Oh, you know what I'm going to do, because I said that you guys look all moisturized. I'm going to hop on the camera right quick and say hello and wave. And I dropped my earphone.
Not you serving us face, though. You serving us face.
Yes,
We love that.
I just wanted to say that, and I just love what you guys are doing. And I'm late here because it's the last episode of the season, but I'll definitely be tuning in next season. And I just want you guys to keep going. This is really great, and I love the real conversations that you guys are having. I just really hope y'all keep it up.
You can go back and watch the other seasons too. You could always.
Don't
Oh, of
forget to
course.
subscribe
Whenever
so
I
you
get
can
the
catch
chance,
up.
I'm going to scroll. I'm going to subscribe, honey.
Well, thank you for joining and making that comment. I do agree with that. I don't think it's always on the parents. There are other influences as well, and that's what I mean. That's why I like working with kids. I like being that positive influence to model some of the behaviors that they might not be seeing at home
Yeah.
or with other people as well. I like to be that for the kids. So
Absolutely. And I feel that in your spirit, and I just think all of you are great. And that's just really something I picked up on. I'm like, oh, the vibe is vibing. And let me just chime in right quick.
yep, and just Patch has said you definitely need to go watch the other episodes. So
Definitely going to
and
go
do
watch
that.
the other episodes. I'm definitely going to subscribe. You guys definitely have a new subscriber in me.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for hopping on. You got anything else before we knock you out of here?
Oh no, I'm just gonna go start some drama in my comments. Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right.
Thank you, Tiani.
Bye.
Bye. So I like the fact that the temporary influence or the celebrity influence and stuff was added in, because I feel like for me, I categorize them in two different influences: temporary and long term. I feel like celebrity culture is temporary to me, and that yes, in the moment, kids like to replicate what is new, trendy, fast. They like that, and they like what's hot right now. Great, but long term effects, I look at parents being the long term more influence as to how that goes. So for me, yes, celebrity culture and all that could be influence, but I see that as a temporary versus parents. I see it as a long term influence. And so, you know, especially when it comes to outcomes, if we were to look at a child or adult today and ask them, okay, if you know the celebrity back in 20 years ago that influence your behaviors today, we wouldn't probably be able to make that correlation. But if we ask them about their parental upbringing, bet you they can tell you the type of things that they went through and type of things that their parents instilled in them 20 years later as an adult. So that's how I categorize those influences.
I agree, and I think the more long term influence, like your parents and your peers, um, that is stronger influence than the short term. Yes, you're going to pick up on stuff that you hear or see from celebrities, especially during adolescence. Absolutely, um, but you're also only going to pick up on it if you see that your friends are doing it too, or the people around you are doing it too, right? And then you're going to pick up more on what they're doing, because at that age it starts to become more important. I don't care what mom and dad are doing anymore. I've already watched them and learned from them. Now I'm watching my friends and learning from them too. And that's a stronger influence than them watching a celebrity.
Right? Because your girl thinks she a hot girl ever since May came out 4 years ago. Now I
Can
may not
y'all
be
hear
a
me?
hot girl in 5 years, but I'm one right now.
You
Can
still
y'all hear
gonna be
me
a
okay?
hot girl. Don't worry.
Influence,
You're a
right?
hot girl for life. Hot girl for life.
Yo, can y'all hear me all right? I had to switch devices.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know what? One thing I did want to add, just because we were discussing we've been discussing, kids and what they see, and we were talking about, teaching kids to keep their hands to themselves. I do want to make sure I acknowledge, though, we cannot not acknowledge the fact that bullies exist, and bullying is very much a problem. And you have a lot of kids who are being severely bullied, and they don't know how to protect themselves and fight back. So that's a part of it where it's like we are losing kids. Kids are unaliving themselves behind bullying. So it becomes a very thin rope to kind of say, yeah, keep your hands to yourself, but also protect yourself. Don't allow somebody to physically harm you without defending yourself. So that's a tight rope. I think all of y'all muted. Oh, I was gonna say.
Just Patches has a question. She said, "But is it safe to say that due to devices like cell phones, tablets, etc., that in some cases the internet has more impact on some kids because the parents push them into the next virtual arms?" I would agree. And I think that we've all had our different generational vices. Right now, these kids are social media kids. And that may not be how we were raised 20 years ago. But now we do have the social media impact and influence and the accessibility to seeing all those different type of things that we may not have been exposed to on social media before, but now we do. And that is where parents have to do at least their due diligence enough to monitor, maybe put parental, they have those parental controls on social media to really look at what your kids are looking at. And let me add this. When you see something that is inappropriate, it is okay to explain to your child what is and what is not appropriate. Telling your child, no, don't look at that, does not teach them what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior. I've known a lot of parents to just steer away or avoid a conversation because they're too scared to talk about it. You can explain things in a developmentally appropriate way without going into too much detail, while also educating your child on what's appropriate in your home and what's appropriate to act like in public. So
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Auntie Keish. I tell parents all the time, once your child come to you with a specific kind of question, don't feel like, oh, they too young to hear it. If they got the question, they've been thinking about it. You need to talk. You need to talk to them in a developmentally appropriate way, period. And Tiani, you had a comment earlier where you said your grandparents raised you. I wanted to point that comment out just because a lot of people also think generational gaps come into play here. Like if you were raised by your grandparents, you had to be raised a specific way. But you stated, in my moments of discipline, it was never physical. So your grandparents of a whole different generation raised you a particular way and never once had to put their hands on you to discipline you. To me, that says something because we don't think that about Black families, old school especially.
first of all,
You
why
know
would
what's
he say them
crazy?
skills went from Coco Melon to Funny Marco?
What?
What?
Listen, it's the babysitter now. Tablets and cell phones, which could be really good for learning and developmental skills.
Oh,
But the moment it goes from Coco Melon to Funny Marco, becomes a problem. Absolutely. Immediate problem.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yes,
um,
indeed.
I was gonna say me and my husband were having a conversation the other day about discipline, right, in our childhood. And I realized that I have never been whooped before. I was whooped only one time my whole entire childhood, but I have never been like it wasn't a constant thing in my household, whereas it was in his. So, and I didn't even realize that. Like in my mind, it was like I had been whooped because my parents yelled at me or something. I don't know, but I realized that I never I physical discipline wasn't a part of my household either. There were always conversations. Sometimes there was the because I said so type thing, but my mom was mostly open with me and would explain things to me and have conversations with me rather than putting a belt to my ass when I got in trouble.
And I was raised with a mixture. My mother never whooped me without conversation. Let's put it like that. Like it never went. That was never her first resort. It was always, okay, you done went too far. Now, come on now. But it was always conversation. This is why I was never. I knew I could talk to my mother about things if I needed to. But she also used the other methods, like Tiani mentioned, took my phone away, grounded, took my TV away, my video games away, couldn't have company. She did all those things too. So it's not a right or wrong. It's just a look more at what we all do. Look, analyze more of these things when it comes to our kids, and not just, oh, they see that, they gonna model that, or oh, you say that, they gonna know. It's a lot of steps to it. It's a lot more into it that your kids can internalize. And every child is different. But guess what? You don't know exactly how your child is going to be. You think you do, but you don't know.
Really good conversation, guys. Very good
Now
conversation.
he said no free nights and weekends, you say. No free nights and weekends, you
Listen,
say.
that's that reinforcement. That's that positive punishment. And like, yeah, that's what that is. So,
Hmm.
and we learn that in, psychology as to try to get children to engage in behaviors, desirable behaviors that we want, or try to take away undesirable behaviors. So that's either through reinforcement or punishment, positive or negative punishment, or positive or negative reinforcement.
Exactly.
It's literally a therapy.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Well, listen, Before we wrap up for tonight, because it is our season finale, so that means we going on a break between seasons. Season 5 will be back in August, but that don't mean we don't have stuff for y'all over the summer. We got something important over the summer in July. Do y'all remember what that is in these comments here? What we got going on in July? What do we have going on in July? Well, we have an in-person clinical cookout. Our very first official mental health conference for the clinical cookout is July 13th in Cleveland, Ohio. So if you can make it to Cleveland, Ohio in July for the real cookout, like this is a mental health conference with workshops. Each of the aunties are putting on workshops on different topics. We're gonna have a real panel discussion, a big panel discussion, and then it's gonna be a real cookout, y'all, with spades and dominoes and pie throwing. It is a whole bunch of stuff on on that agenda.
And food,
And free
lots of food.
food, free food. That's your birthday, Tiani. Oh, wait a minute.
Tiana, you're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to come.
You gonna have to spend your birthday with us.
You're
He
gonna have
said,
to
"Let me
come.
book a flight to Cleveland. Please do,
Come
please
on.
do." Listen,
Registration is free. The event is free. You just gotta cover your flight and wherever you're gonna stay at.
that's it. The workshops are free, all of that. So we want y'all there. We want y'all there. And we also, if you have children, do not let that be a hindrance to you coming, okay? Because we are having childcare that will be offered by people who have worked in daycare centers and are all, they verified, they cool with kids, they could be around kids and such. And we just want y'all to give the volunteers for that donations. There's no set cost for that. We just want to make sure that they are compensated in some way. So don't let your kids be the reason you don't come and get this experience with the clinical cookout in person. Okay.
Yep. Also, if you want to continue to support us, we got clinical cookout conversation cards. Be sure to get on the website or
Wait,
Not
so
yet.
not
We're
yet.
not
So
gonna
I
roll for those right now, but we will start reselling them. We just did
yes,
our pre-orders, but yes, we will start reselling them very soon.
yes. I
okay,
Very
brought
sorry.
them to I brought them to show them, but we are on hold for them. We have our pre-sale order that is going out now. Those people who did purchase, you will be getting your cards soon, hopefully by the end of this month. And then after that, we will put these back up on our merch link on our website. If you've never been to our website, www.theclinicalcookout.org, and you can access everything from there, our bios, our episodes, everything. So these will be back soon. You see them, y'all see them, right? And Auntie Amber just happened to always be the card that's at the front when I show the deck.
I don't know why. You need to switch that, put somebody else up there. But we're gonna see y'all later. I gotta go because my dog just pooped in the house. I'm about to go whoop
Oh
his ass.
Lord.
Bye.
All right, bye y'all.